I'm not a ranger yet, but I will be in the future.
Once a ranger,
Always a ranger.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Once a Ranger. I'm Minhas, and I'm joined with Ndav and Akil. And today we're going to be talking about Grumble Bee, Two Heads Are Better Than One, and Fowl Play. All three very interesting episodes. We're reaching, I know every time we start off, we're reaching the end of this, but we actually are.
Yeah, we're in the last 10.
We are in the last 10. We're in the home stretch. And then season 2, which I'm really, really excited for, because I feel like season 2, like season 1, is going to have a lot of fillers, but there's definitely like it really, the characters, you know the formula. It really has the flow going. Plus, we have the introduction of Adam, which is exciting. So
yeah, I do like Adam.
Yeah. Notice what I didn't say?
Notice what I didn't say either?
So let's talk about Grumble Bee. This episode is a Billy featured episode. So of course we have to hand over the floor to Akil, who is Billy's #1 fan. Let us know your thoughts, Akil.
Yes, Billy finally gets his comeuppance. He gets a B on a test by missing one question. And school is back at it again with announcing everyone's grades and their consequences immediately upon handing back the test. But Billy and Trini study together. Trini helps them study, which is great. This is a Billy Trini episode. They study together, they fight together. I think the last time I saw this was High Five, which was first or second episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. It's so funny because we associate Billy and Trini together a lot, but they're literally never together.
They're never together.
So it's funny
they
that
work so well together.
Yeah.
No, yeah, for sure. They definitely do.
They definitely do. Except for this one time when they're studying. Because I wrote down exactly what they said. Basically, the question that he missed was that bees are the highest form of insect belonging to the order Hymenoptera, which I did have to look up. Now I know what Hymenoptera was. And Trini asked Billy, do you know what that means? And Billy says, it's a term which defines a specific order of insects, such as bees. So no, Billy, you don't understand what that is.
Right. Okay, what is it? Explain to me, please.
Okay, so yes, technically that's what it is. But he basically said, oh, bees are a type of Hymenoptera. Do you know what Hymenoptera means? Yeah, it's bees.
Right, okay. It's like
a good way to study.
Yeah, use this in a sentence, a sentence, pretty much.
That's exactly what it is. Hymenoptera, for those watching and listening at home, also include like wasps and hornets and other similar insects. It's not just bees.
Yeah, but
so
those
animals.
Hmm?
What did they mean by order of insects? Oh, like a group of like order of the Sith. Okay, got it. I thought it meant like 1, 2, 3, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like, what does that mean?
I mean, it is kind of like 1, 2, 3. I can get into like the hierarchy of animal kingdoms and like kingdom, order, phylum, class, genus, species.
Right.
Categorize animals. So an order is a type of group
right.
that involves different genuses and different species.
I will say though, Akil, the thing is though that none of those other insects start with the letter B. So that's why why they don't matter in this situation.
Okay, so can we please talk about why B for bulk and skull were bullying Billy so hard over his B?
Bullying B for Billy? I have no idea. Honestly, I sometimes like I think they just want to be mean.
Yeah, they saw an opportunity. I mean, what do you do when you're jealous of someone? Like Billy's super intelligent. You gotta bring him down. So it's like, look at you. You always get A's. Now you get a B. What a loser.
Even though we get F's.
In a previous episode fighting for their D's and getting F's. They're like, oh, this guy with a B, we got a B for bring him down a peg.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
I don't believe it.
I want to go back 1 second to when Billy gets his test. They do a dolly zoom Okay, like
Yes.
this is like an Alfred Hitchcock film technique where basically the camera is physically moved closer or away from the further from the subject, while the camera also is zoomed in the opposite direction. So if they're physically moving the camera forward, they zoom out. So they do this dolly zoom effect on Billy getting a test because it's supposed to create this like disorienting like kind of effect. And I was just like, wait, what is this cinema going on here?
It's peak cinema. It's funny because that scene specifically is also in a lot of edits. So it's a very good edit scene. So yeah.
And one tangent to that, when Goldar was yelling at them in the park, they did a massive Dutch angle on that as well.
They do, yeah.
So they're really playing with the camera this episode.
They actually, honestly, because I noticed that too. They love Dutch angles specifically for like the villains or when the Rangers are in some sort of like disarray, right?
Yeah.
Like they use it. Maybe they haven't used it too much in season 1, but I know they've used it quite a bit throughout the series. So it is interesting to see them like adapting these or like using these different techniques. It's cool.
I'm looking forward to that. I want to see their cinematography.
But to your point of like when they were studying bees, right? So I found this is a small editing thing that I feel they could have done better, is if they showed the scene where, because Rita's whole reason for a bee monster was because Billy got a bee. And I don't know if that's the best approach, but then literally the next scene, him and Trini are studying bees. So like if they had just shown that scene before Rita's scene, that would have made more sense, right? Like, oh, you're studying bees and you got a bee. Like it just would have connected a little better.
Yes.
But she was just like, I'll show you, bee. And just like, what?
It's so funny because sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
This whole episode like revolves around the letter B, right? Yeah. So and I totally agree with you. It should have been flipped because I thought that was really funny too. I'm like, that's a little bit of a stretch, Rita. But everything. So like Billy gets a B. He goes, I don't believe it. And then Skull goes, B stands for bulk also. And then he goes, wouldn't want to be.
Amazing. What a line, honestly.
It was so many. And all of this stems from Billy getting a B. It's honestly, it doesn't make sense, but it's one of my favorite things. I'm not gonna lie, right? Yeah. Like, because like I do agree with you. Stretch, Rita, but a fun stretch. And the fact that a B is the reason why Billy failed is like the little like cherry on top.
Yeah, the question he got wrong was about bees, so he got a B. It's
like a 5-question test. That's how he got one question wrong. So like that's how mathematics works. I kind of want them.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say they're American, so it can also be a 10-question test. I think bees are up to 89% in America, but like up to
are they?
In Canada, I think, or
up to 79.
79
in Canada. So we actually go by percent. 80 to 100 is A. 70 to 79 is B. 60 to 69 is C. 50 to 59 is D, and anything below 50 is an F. Is how our system works.
That's so weak.
No
80
child
to 100 is A?
Yeah.
What? That's
90
wild.
is extra A. Like,
all right,
amazing. Yeah. It's like
90 is A minus, Minas.
80 is A minus. In America.
In America, 90
yeah, 95 to 100 is A plus, like, or A plus.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's but it was just like I kind of want them to do an episode for each letter because of these puns. Like I just want the letter to be the focus of the episode.
Oh, it's so good. Okay, speaking of grades, and letters. Mm-hmm. Okay, at the end, Bulk and Skull are studying for a test, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so and if they don't, they have to go to summer school because they're like tutoring for summer school. So we have to be tutored by the top 6 students in class. And so they counted themselves. They know they're the top 6 students. They were not told about this deal, meaning they're getting punished for Bulk and Skull's bad work. Like literally, I'm like, what kind of schooling system is this? Like they get punished for a Vulcan skull. But on top of that, Kimberly and them, they all don't care that they're getting Bs, right? So that means like it's Billy, and then everyone else is kind of like B student, but they're still the top 6.
Yeah. Everyone's a B student.
Only Billy's smart.
Well, I don't think that's true. I think they probably get some A's, but maybe not all A's, right? Like,
no, not all.
Yeah,
but they're okay getting C's, or Kimberly's okay getting C's.
B's. She said she gets B's all the time. Yeah.
Oh, I thought she said C's.
No,
okay.
She said I get B's all the time.
Yeah. So they're all like B averages.
Yeah. I assume Trini does like in the B plus A range, honestly. I assume Trini does like that. You know, Billy probably just gets everything as an A. This was his first B, which is like, I don't know. I'm in the same boat as Kim. Like, I'd never fret B's, but when I got my first like D, I was like, oh damn, I really did not do it. That was bad. So yeah, I get it, but yeah. I found that ending hilarious though. I was very much enjoying the whole bit. Like, it was just like them going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then like, all right, we're now gonna help you. It's great. It's great.
Yeah. Well, they have to tutor them anyways, because that was my first thought. I'm like, oh, you don't want to tutor them, so you're gonna tutor them. And then I clocked that they said during the summer, and I was like, oh, so really they are being punished if like, well, like, you know, that is really No Child Left Behind, Akil. That is all children left behind.
All children left behind. But also, why is Tommy in the top 6? He's not in that class.
Yeah, he was at like a tournament. He is never in class.
He's never in class.
Yeah.
He's never around.
At another tournament. How shocking. Like another karate tournament. How shocking.
I know. Where is he? Who knows? Oh yeah, a karate tournament. Again, which is so funny that he becomes literally a doctorate in dinosaurs. Like, I'll always find that hilarious.
But also, why does he get to miss so much school?
Student athlete, man.
Because literally student athlete. He's good at karate. Isn't that a thing in America? Like, they care about that
for
a lot.
Karate.
But I don't know if like karate is an official school sport, right? Like, this seems like an after-school recreational league or whatever he's in. Like, it's not like the football team he's on, you know, where like that I get. Student athlete, that's a valid, you know, I get that. You're right, because student athletes get treated differently. But I don't know if karate is part of this student athlete curriculum or like offering.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is at the school. Who knows what's going on in Angel Grove?
Maybe. That explains why there's so much funding behind martial arts there. With all their different classes and all their different equipment.
It's like, have you either of you watched Cobra Kai?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love Cobra Kai.
I've only seen season 1.
Okay, there's no spoilers about the show itself, but I love Cobra Kai. But the premise of it is so absurd because everyone is so hung up on this like town karate tournament. Yeah. Like, to the point where people get excessively violent. And the kids get excessively violent the adults get excessively violent over a 18 and under karate tournament. I'm like, oh, this is like that probably. Like, for Angel Grove, it's like the same thing. Like, they're just like, karate is our bread and butter. That's how Ernie's juice bar stays open, you know, like.
Literally.
Specifically children's karate.
Yes.
Well, no, in the next episode, it's mom's karate.
Yeah, but up until the next episode, it's always been children.
Yeah, self-defense. Oh my god. Yeah.
I did like earlier in the episode, going back to like more of the later in the episode. So when they first is Jason, while Billy and Trini are studying, Jason, Zach, and Kim are they're in the park playing basketball, and then they get attacked by putties. And I really liked the use of the basketball in the fight, and also to like transition to each scene with each different person. I just thought that was like really well done, a good choreographed execution of that fight.
Yeah, in my notes I wrote Jason really be pulling a Troy Bolton here.
I like that you said it was Troy Bolton because I immediately thought of that Bollywood movie Koi Mil Gaya.
Oh my god, that's
where
so
they have
funny.
a similar basketball scene.
That's funny.
Koi Mil Gaya did it first. Just to like put in the timeline.
Koi Mil Gaya was in the 2000s. They copied Power Rangers.
That's true. Power Rangers did it first.
Yeah.
Power Rangers did do it first, which is funny you bring up the basketball because, like, Jason. So this is exactly what I wrote in my notes. Jason says, "Forget grades, play basketball." And then I'm like, oh, but that means he has other interests other than karate, except for when Tommy's around, who, not surprisingly, is at a karate tournament. But I think that's like such a funny thing to say to Billy, like, Jason, that's not the time. Like,
yeah,
read the room a little.
Yeah, it was, that whole thing was interesting. Like, I don't think anybody, maybe that, other than that part, I think most of them, like, they were being, you know, gentle, but I don't think any of them, other than Trini, really, like, understood, you know? Like, it's easy to look at someone who gets all A's and be like, oh, wow, you gotta be a big deal. But also, like, there are people who take getting grades, and, like, he had some academic program or something to get into, so
yeah,
like,
which matters to him.
Yeah, so, you know, like, I understood it, and I guess especially as coming from brown families, we all understand getting A's really well. So.
Yeah. I think that, like, also it just feels like so inconsiderate to Billy, especially since, like, okay, even if he didn't want to get into that program, which, by the way, should have been their number one concern, like, oh no, like, you don't want to get into the program, it's a really big deal. But, like, if you know that your friend puts his all into, like, having good grades, and, like, what does that mean when he can't do that, right? When he feels like already, and it's common knowledge, he feels like the only use he has to the team is his brain. How does it feel that he gets a B? And I feel like everyone except for Trini is lacking in understanding, to repeat what you said. Yeah. And going back to, we've said this in previous episodes, it really shows that Trini is the heart of the team, right? She understands what everyone on the team really, really needs. Yeah. So I was really excited that she was the one who was helping Billy. And she's, like, encouraging. She's like, you're so smart. You're so good. When he said the thing about the B, even though Akil says it's incorrect-ish.
No, it's correct. It just doesn't demonstrate understanding.
Okay, fair enough.
He's just repeating. That's what Akil's saying. He's just repeating, like, okay, yeah. But yeah, and the fact that she said, okay, like, I'll help you study. Like, you know, it's always just, she's always making that effort to help whoever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, straight up. All right, let's talk about this monster for a second. So I think they didn't have a lot of footage for this monster because a lot of what we see is in the viewing globe. Like, and the funniest thing is when Zordon, the second time, they pulled Trini and Billy back, and Zordon goes, observe the viewing globe, and there's no new information. It's the same information, Zordon. Why am I looking at this again? Like, this bee is doing the exact same thing as the first time you showed me, help me defeat this monster, right? And then Alpha goes, why isn't Jason answering his beeper? Look at the viewing globe, right? Like, literally 2 seconds later, he's like, it's on the viewing globe. Like, come on. But I did note, they brought back the line, pasta la pizza. Yes. Yes. I'm like, whoever is in the writer room is like, this is the best. This is the funniest thing I've ever written. We have to use it again. And I'm not saying that as, like, in a mean way. I love that. I'm like, yeah, use it a million times. I love that line. And then Alpha again. So I don't know, really understand what Alpha's doing in this episode. He's, like, using this, like, making this weapon, this very specific weapon. And he's like, oh, I have this on backward. There, it works now without ever testing it or anything. How do you know it works? What do you mean? Like,
the little blue light that says it works turned on, so he knew.
So crazy.
Yes.
But then he beams down that weapon to Billy, and it's clearly a different weapon. It's a completely different prop.
I didn't even notice that.
It's a different color.
It got ruined in, like, the transportation, like, thing, whatever it's called. It
went through the morphing grid. It morphed, you know?
Yeah.
So I didn't notice that, but something I did notice was that this monster, the Grumble Bee, looked really similar to another monster that appears in Power Rangers in Space. And the episode's called Wasp Without a Heart. And I just...
Another Hymenoptera.
Yeah. I just looked it up. Apparently, the Wasp Without a Heart is a modified Grumble Bee costume. So that's why it looks so familiar to me.
Okay.
That's so funny. Not surprising, but yeah. I mean, they spent so much money making these costumes, might as well like just kind of switch them around.
Honestly,
right?
they could just use the same exact one. Then you'd have to modify it, and no one would have. I mean, even if people noticed, it wouldn't have mattered.
You would have noticed.
You would.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have mattered, right? Like, especially as a kid, I wouldn't have noticed. Like, it was like 6 years later, I wouldn't have been like, oh, that was episode 51 of Power Rangers.
Yeah. But they've also reused monsters too, so some people
all the time.
Yeah.
They've used.
Well, they didn't really think that 30 years later people would still be watching it, or that you could watch it like on streaming. Like that's like really changed the game.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, back in the day when you're like, I've watched every single episode, it meant something.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like you had to like take your time out to watch every single episode.
Yeah. Find them first too.
Yeah, literally find them, or watch it every time. Like make sure you were on TV at the right time and watch it every time. Can't even miss one. Your schedule is around their schedule.
Yeah. But the one thing I and again, it was like a simple thing they could have done is this episode could have been about like self-confidence. Like they could have tied into like Billy feeling, not as confident since he got the bee. He's not feeling confident being able to like beat the monster, and then he ends up being like very involved in being the monster. They didn't do that. And I thought like it was an easy little like, path they could have taken.
Yeah, what was the lesson for this episode? I don't think there was one. And which actually I liked that they didn't even have a lesson, because the lesson on the next episode made no sense. Like I didn't get it at all. So do we want to jump into the two heads are better than one?
Yes. I think because you mentioned earlier like Rita just heard the word bee and then made a monster that was a bee. I think she did the same thing in this episode. She just heard two heads are better than one. Didn't understand what that means.
One last note for this first episode.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Gotta get it there.
They decided to have Jason David Frank for the last like 30 seconds of this episode.
You're right. How could we miss that? No, it's true. Don't forget, he's here. And you know what? Like, that's so funny because he's like, comes back from his, like, they didn't even need to do it. Like, we already know he's at a karate tournament.
That's what I mean. Like, they've made more of an effort to have him on screen since he got his powers back, interestingly enough. Like, because every other time it's like, oh, he's away and he never shows up. But this, he literally just shows up at the end. I was like, why?
Well,
literally
he showed up and he's like, yeah, the karate was good, but I really wish I was with you guys.
Yeah. I wish. And then they're like, well, don't forget, you can't push yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, thanks for saying that, because I did forget. And that is not my sarcastic voice.
Same.
That is my serious voice.
No, so
I did forget.
Going to the second episode, I do have that as a note because I did forget like that his powers are limited. So actually, I like the simplicity and like reminding us of like, these are limited. You have to be careful. It's a danger. Like even like they're like, oh, should we call Tommy? And Zoran's like, only if we really have to. And I will like if that arises. And I just like that because it like maybe it's budgetary reasons, whatever the reason is that they're keeping him off. At least there's a reason for it in universe that they are giving us and reminding us. Like this is he's like a reserves, right? Like, oh, only in like dire situations do we call him. And I was like, okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah, same. Kimberly. Okay, this is the beginning. You'll see Akko of the Tomification of Kimberly, where she does not care about anyone else except for Tommy. And like nobody else. And you kind of see this in this episode because she's like, Jason goes, bye guys, and Tommy goes, bye guys, and she goes, bye Tommy.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Kimberly. And it's like, and it continues. It gets worse. And it sucks because she also was a good character on her own. But like, yeah.
I think she had the best line in this episode too.
Which was?
It was Polly want a Megazord.
Oh my god! Yes, that was a good one.
Yeah. But I thought the premise for this episode was, or I don't know if it's the premise, whatever. The episode starts with Jason and Tommy teaching a mom's self-defense course, which is good. Nothing wrong with it. I actually put in my notes, I bet Tommy and Jason would choose a bear over a man.
Yes. Yes. Oh my god, totally. They definitely would.
Yeah.
Everyone on that team would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just saying, in them teaching a self-defense course to women, I'm pretty sure they would definitely choose the bear over the man.
Right. Oh my gosh. That is so funny. But also, like, they're teaching the self-defense course. It feels a little bit like, I don't know. I don't want to say misguided. Like some of the, like, they're like, oh, what she did was wrong. She didn't yell. And remember, two heads are better than one. I'm like, I don't understand this lesson. Like, what do you mean? Like,
yeah, go ahead.
Like, okay, I understand that the connection was never walk alone, always walk with a friend because two heads are better than one. But like, I don't know if that's like the best lesson in a martial arts in a self-defense thing, right? Like,
I think it's a 90s thing. Like these women's self-defense classes and videos were like huge in the 90s, and it was always just like, make a lot of noise, don't scream help because then people won't help you, scream fire instead. Like always traveling.
I do remember that.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think they're just pulling on the tropes and being like, oh, this is what a self-defense course is nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but the fact that he said Trini didn't make a lot of noise and then Kimberly demonstrates and she also doesn't make a lot of noise.
Well, she said, help, help.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, they let themselves get beat up. It was such a funny sequence. I'm like, I don't understand any of this. Like, I don't know what's going on right now, honestly.
I think the other thing that got me was maybe they like this is because this is the end of the lesson, but like they didn't like explain any of the moves they were doing. So like, no, you just stop them, and then they're just basically sparring at this point. Yeah. And I'm like, are any of these people picking up anything? Like that's why I'm like, did they already go over this and now they're just like kind of recapping towards because it's the end of the lesson? But like as a viewer, we're just put into the scene and they're just doing stuff. And I'm like, no one's retaining any of this. Like, they're, like, putting their arm back and stuff. And I was like, okay, but do they know the proper pressure to apply? Like, nothing. No tips, like...
Well...
Are these guys good teachers, question mark? We really got to question this. Tommy becomes a teacher.
Well, Jason,
come on.
Started off as an instructor, a martial arts instructor as well.
It's true.
But by the time the moms come back at the end of the episode, they have learned all of this stuff. So they must be good teachers.
They clearly have learned something.
Yeah, that's fair.
Bulk and Skull were creepy in this episode.
Gross.
Really did not like them. I can only defend them.
That was my note.
Yeah. And the hair smelling thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever it comes to them and women, I'm always grossed out. Like I've never seen so far them be like okay with girls.
Yeah. Even in the next episode, there's like it's not as like bad, but it's still not good the way Bulk is with Angela. Yeah. But yeah, it's weird. It's I guess that's how the writers were like, here's how we make them not so lovable.
Yeah,
because otherwise they're too lovable. That's not my sarcastic voice again. I know I sound sarcastic, but I'm not being sarcastic.
No, but they need to be like a certain amount of lovable and oafy to like be a good foil. But you still have to like be like make you not feel bad, like make you still feel like they deserve it. And like in this episode and the next episode, they really did deserve it. I didn't clock this when I was a kid. But like, I guess the 90s were just like normalizing different things. But like, like even in my teens, then I was starting to be like, oh, like when I was starting to rewatch it, I'm like, this is weird. Like, this is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was 5 years old, I didn't clock that what was happening.
Yeah.
Sure.
But that like specific flavor of misogyny was all over in the 90s. So this wouldn't have stood out as something heinous at the time.
Right. Ew, like don't sniff my hair. Like I've had people touch my hair like without my permission so much. Like, and I don't even like just what are you doing? But I like if I understand in some situations it's like affectionate, right? Like if someone you're seeing or like are interested in, they kind of do like that. It's nice, but like other people like strangers and stuff, like I had someone like I was just going on a walk and someone came up to me and like touched my hair and I was like, that's a weird thing to do, my guy. Like,
that's
like I know you're fascinated that it's not black, but like don't touch my hair.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't get it. Just,
then sniffing it is a whole
everyone
other...
keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah.
That's the moral of this story.
Yeah.
That's the true moral.
Yeah.
Two heads are better than one.
Yeah, two heads are better than one. It's really...
I
your hands to yourself.
I also love like going, you know, back to the episode, not to cut this conversation short, but like because you brought up the whole two heads are better than one, like Jason and Tommy are in the park together and they just gave this whole lesson about being together, but Rita's like, you're all by yourselves. I'm like, Rita, these are the two greatest martial artists in the world. Like, what are you talking about? They're by themselves.
Yeah. Individually, like, foiled your plans, right? Not, like, without the team, they're able to, like, hold themselves pretty well.
I'm just like, you've literally, these are the two leaders of the group. It's not like you're making any sense here. I'm just like, oh, yeah, now I finally got you. They're gonna wreck. Like,
yeah, you're gonna get wrecked, Rita. No, it's true. They were really cute in this episode, though. Like with them, like trying to like be really excited about their lessons, and they're like, "What about this? Like, let's see what we can learn and whatever." Like, I'm like, good. Put your all into it and help these women. This was a weird episode. So I noted that like two heads are better than one. I'm finally gonna make a two-headed monster, even though she made like a goat lion.
Yeah.
Did the heads in the same place too.
Yeah, right. I expected it to be like, you know, like this, like on the belly. Like that was so weird. And I was thinking before they even brought up the food situation, I was like, how do they eat, right? Like, where is their stomach? But then they go, oh my God, right? Like, we should distract it with food. And I'm like, of course you should, because they know by now Rita never feeds the monsters. like literally, this has always been like a focal point for a lot of these monsters. And what's hilarious about this fruit, so yeah, Ernie suddenly makes exotic fruit.
Don't do that.
Yeah, you're just going out of business. But you know what? Zach was gonna be putting like his whole business into business because he keeps buying these smoothies. Unless those 5 always just get everything for free, then not so much.
Because they were taste testing at the beginning, so there's no way that they paid for it.
That's true. Then he does use them as a taste tester a lot. And how much are these exotic fruit? And how exotic are they that a one tree grows in Angel Grove?
It's very exotic. It's not a real fruit.
I thought he was getting them shipped from like elsewhere. I didn't think they were growing in Angel Grove, but that means they're more expensive.
Well, there's one tree that grew in Angel Grove,
you're
right?
right.
That's why Tommy was trying to find it.
Yeah, Akil, you'd noted this.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure. Yeah. So the fruit in question in conversation is a pamango. Not mango, pamango.
So there's a fruit called pomelo. So I think they just kind of fusion them.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And I know because my sister loves pomelos, right? And like when I was watching this episode, I took a screenshot and I'm like, is this that fruit you like? But then it wasn't because it's a pomango.
Yeah.
So that is really funny.
Yeah. I wrote down what is that because I was not sure. I didn't think it was a real fruit, but I was like, I don't know fruits. I'm not going to act like I'm a fruitologist. Like
Google was like, you mean pimento, right? You're talking about the peppers, pimento? And I'm like, no.
For me, when I searched Google and I just searched Pamango, it just brought up Power Rangers because it was just like, this is not so a real. Funny. And then it said like, this is not a real fruit. I was just like,
that's the algorithm working. You can see it work in real time here.
Yeah.
That's so funny. But actually, this plan was a good plan because I didn't consider. Like I was like, oh, they're just gonna distract it with food, right? And I'm like, that already is a good plan. That'll work for me, right? Yeah. I'm hungry. But then I forgot it's like they only had one fruit and they were fighting over it. I'm like, this is actually an excellent plan. Whoever thought of this is brilliant.
Right.
Yeah.
Who thought of it? I think it was Trini, right?
Was it Trini or
I
was
don't
it
remember.
I don't know. I don't think it's Kimberly because at the end I wrote, Kimberly, use your brain. You're fighting a bird monster that you need a pamango for, and then Ernie's like, oh, how's your parrot? Tommy wanted a pamango. Tommy is the one who showed up with the pamango.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'd be a little confused initially.
Use your inference here.
Yeah.
It would take me a second though. I'd be like, what?
Yeah, it would definitely take us.
And then I'd get lost in the parrot because I'd be like, what parrot? And then I would
well, I start with what parrot, but then he was like, oh, because Tommy needed the fruit.
Right,
and
yeah.
that's what should have clocked it. And then she was still like, what?
That giant two-headed parrot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that we just fought. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
It was starving.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
No, but I think it's worth it for the joke.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I understand what the show was trying to do, and I thought it was funny.
Right.
I just was like, come on, Kimberly.
For sure.
You're better. You're smarter than that. And she is. She's not stupid. She's a very, very intelligent woman.
Yeah, one of
and
the
we've
top
seen that
6
in the
students
past.
in the class.
Yeah, it's true. But you know what?
Which
We
is
all
a weird
have
number to choose, by the way.
Yeah,
it's not the
6.
top
Not
3,
even top 10.
top 2, top 6. How convenient.
How convenient. And you know what? If Tommy wasn't there,
it would have been top.
it would have been top 5, which makes sense. There's no reason for Tommy to be there.
But how does that also work? How do you get tutored by 6 people at once?
Right? Like, what was the point of that?
I get 1 or 2, right? Like 1 obviously makes sense. 2 makes sense because there's bulk and skull, so it's like, okay, fine, 2 people. But like 6, you need 6 people to be like.
Again,
alternative theory. That's a complete lie. And the teacher didn't say that it would be the top 6. They just wanted to hang out with the Power Rangers.
Do you know what? It's true. They knew in their hearts that they were the smartest.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
True. They didn't seem bothered by the idea of the top 6. They were just bothered by the idea of getting tutored and being in summer school or whatever. So
yeah,
you know what? Maybe.
Yeah,
I'll
take that.
Yeah.
And for this one, Kimberly probably just like tired from fighting and stuff. Like I've had my moments too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. And both of those, I understand the joke. I understand the joke they were making.
And I do like, fortunately, that Bulk and Skull got deserved comeuppance in this episode.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, direct impact.
That was like usually, even though I'm not their biggest defender, but sometimes I'm like, okay, they didn't need that to happen to them. This time I was like, no, they needed to have that happen to them because that was the misogyny was just reeking off.
It was
of them.
too much. Yeah, beat them up, moms. I was like cheering them on. Like, you do it, boo, boo, boo. Don't hold back. No
mercy, so Cobra Kai.
Karate's so important. Rita has. Oh, it was Tommy. It was Tommy's plan. So I wrote good plan, Tommy. So I think it was Tommy's plan, but
sure.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
I think also there was a really funny moment where Zordon goes, "Oh, that's unfortunate, right?" And it just really came off as, "Well, that sucks."
Yeah.
I was like, Zordon. This is twice. The last episode you were weird, and then this episode you were weird. Like, be a little helpful. Just like a little bit.
Well, happens. Can't have all the answers.
I mean, it's true. He also is notoriously not the greatest. We don't have Nick here right now to defend Zordon, so we can say that.
I have a favorable opinion of Zordon, but it's okay.
Oh, do you? Was it you?
But I understand. Yeah, I think Nick is actually more critical, but I understand the critiques. But maybe it's the nostalgia, the father figure type persona that I grew up with him. So I'm just like,
you're just like Billy.
Yeah. Well, I'm Zordon is to me what Bulk and Skull are to you. You know, like
okay.
I forgive a lot of
roast.
things.
Yeah,
I forgive a lot of things Zordon does because I'm just like, he's trapped in his tube. Give him a break.
That's true. We do have rose-colored glasses when it comes to these characters.
Right. Exactly. So you know,
which is true. I feel like I'm that way with Tommy. Like up until Dino Thunder.
Sure.
I do like, because even watching these, like I complain about him a lot, but in my heart I'm still like, Tommy. Tommy, he's so good. Even though like so far he's shown nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm so excited that he's back, but still like what's he doing here? Like even like where I'm always still in the mindset where he doesn't really want to be there, right? He's kind of like, oh shucks, I wish he would have called me.
Yeah.
It's like, do you wish that? Eventually we get there, but not yet.
Yeah.
Got that to look forward to.
But, I think. Yeah. Should we move on to episode 3?
Yeah, foul
I just
play.
want to throw in my 2 cents on the lesson of this episode before we move on.
Give me your 2 cents.
Because 2 cents are better than 1. So the idea that
I'd have two nickels.
It's weird, right?
The idea that two heads are better than one is that if you have like different ideas, you can like go back and forth and you can improve and it'll be better.
Mm-hmm.
But Rita just literally thought two heads, physical heads.
Yeah.
And the fact that it took two brains to control a single attack.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the problem.
Also,
but because
No, finish, my bad.
Yeah, so like the bird was using both brains to do one thing, but the Power Rangers were like testing out different ideas. Tommy had an idea, Jason had an idea, the other team members contributed. So that's why two heads are better than one. It's not just literally two heads focusing on the same thing.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. I was also going to say, didn't know that parrots were apparently already intelligent, just creatures.
Oh, yes, they are. They're
very
super smart.
I don't know, but because Billy was like, parrots are pretty intelligent on their own. Now with two braids, they're going to be even more intelligent.
Like, not as intelligent as a human, but
they're pretty freakishly smart.
I'm not a zoologist.
Oh, me neither. I'm some guy that Googles things sometimes.
Fair enough.
Or watches too much parrot videos on TikTok. Which actually has been my algorithm lately. I think they were like prepping me for this episode.
Well, if you like birds, you're gonna like these last two episodes here because you got another bird in Fowl Play, spelled Fowl.
Yes, another bird. Two heads are twice as stupid, according to Rita. Let's get into it. Fowl Play. This is a Zach-based episode. Yeah. I love this episode. I hope you two agree with this one.
Yes.
It's fun. Yeah.
It is a fun episode. Skull. Okay, so Bulk shows up. They're being their normal stupid stuff. And then Bulk shows up, and he like has a Twinkie in his mouth, and he like says something, and Skull like repeats what he says, but like in that Twinkie in the mouth language was the funniest thing to me. I was like, I don't know why. This is like the type of humor that is like right up my alley. Like I was laughing so hard at that.
Yeah. No, Skull's humor in general, especially like the mimicking Bulk and those kinds of things are like those always get me. Like he'll always be doing like whatever, Bulk will say something or do something and then Skull does the same thing and usually ends up being like slapstick comedy where he hits Bulk because he like Bulk raised his arm, so he raised his arm, but he's next to Bulk. Like that is always good stuff. I always enjoy that element of Bulk and Skull's comedy for sure.
Yeah, it's very vaudevillian.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah.
So Angela's back.
Well.
Angela.
Love Angela.
More mixed signals. I'm sorry. I can't. There's so many mixed signals from this woman. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know, because she does kiss him.
Right.
And then I think she's having fun, right? Like she definitely likes to tease Zach.
Messed up.
Yes.
Which is like, and she knows what she's doing, I'm pretty sure. And I don't mean that you know what you're doing way. Like, she's just teasing him. I think like, again, in the 90s, this was like a very typical way of flirting, right? Where like you'd like pull back and then,
so I don't know.
I mean, well, yeah, we were also, but I know, when you watch, when you watch like stuff like the media from then, it's like a very common theme.
Oh yeah, so, if they tease you, if they hit you, it's really like like not like not hard hits, but you know what I mean by like if they,
no, I do what you mean, but I don't think that's what's going on here. It's like the mixed signals,
right?
Teasing. That was a big thing in the 90s as well.
Yes.
Platonic cheek kisses were way more common in 90s media than they ever were in real life.
Yes, no, totally. Oh my God, Akil, I was rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and Katara like kisses like Aang a lot, right? Like on the cheek, right? So, and at that point, she doesn't have those types of emotions for him, right? She just starts to develop that later. So, like this platonic kiss thing, like happens so much, like even up until like I'm gonna say
not terrible.
Yeah, I think even up until 2016 they were doing it, which is like it's a very frequent. Like more recently they stopped, which is like it's kind of like. Who came up with this idea?
I don't know. But then like it's also in like 70s stuff. It's in Star Wars, which was way before that as well.
That's true. I think it's just recently that people stopped doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. I actually like literally don't know. Like, it's
Yeah.
just like, that's the thing that happened. I've noted it.
I haven't noticed that, but I'll have to go back and think. You know, it's just like, I don't know.
Go back and watch like Renaissance Disney cartoons. You'll see that.
Oh no, yeah, you'll definitely see it a lot. But with Angela here, I think she's just having fun. Like, I don't think it's malicious. I think that Zach also like is like kind of having fun. Like, he doesn't seem like too butthurt about it. He like disappointed, but like, you know, whatever. You know, he's not like holding it against her or whatever. They're just kind of having this little quick back and forth, and that's their whole thing, right?
Even in the beginning, he's like, it was nothing. It was just a peck on the cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Rita wanted to show him a real peck on the cheek.
I know. What do you mean, Rita? You can't just say stuff like that.
I feel like this episode was filled with a lot more innuendos than the other episodes.
Yeah. Why you make that face, Nub? For
I don't know.
I don't Nub is making a face.
I don't think Zach. I think Zach was just downplaying it in the same way that he was downplaying, like 4 or 5 episodes ago when like he was like, oh, you know, like I'm over her, right? Like he's I don't think he's. I'm not saying he's not enjoying it, but I don't think he. I don't know. I
don't think he's enjoying it. I just don't think he's butthurt, which is different. Those are two very different things, right?
He might be downplaying it to sort of protect himself a little bit from getting hurt.
Right.
And being like, oh yeah, it's just like a friendly thing.
Right, exactly.
I want to be with her and she's kind of wanting to be with me, but like, I'm just going to joke and laugh about it so that it doesn't hurt.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, he's not like bitter about it, obviously, but like,
I
don't know. It's strange. It's just a strange dynamic.
It is a strange dynamic. Yeah, I will agree with that. It's a strange dynamic. I think that it is very true to its time.
Yeah.
It's possible.
I think like more than previous Angela episodes, skipping to the end of this one, I think when she's like, oh no, we're not going on a date, I thought because of the kids, whatever, she seemed really earnest that like there was an actual miscommunication.
Fair. Yeah.
I loved his little Shah Rukh Khan outfit that he had on there. Like, oh my god, I'm like, whoa. I mean, I know that that's just the 90s fashion. Like, I saw that, I'm like, that's just how they wore suits in the 90s. But it's so Shah Rukh Khan. Like, I just like quintessential Shah Rukh Khan look. I'm like, I couldn't even like think of anything else.
Yeah. I saw that in your notes, and then I immediately like started listening to 90s Shah Rukh Khan songs.
It's a time. It is a time.
But also, I think there's a massive trend with NBA players where they would wear that suit to their press conferences in the 90s. Those like big rectangular suits.
Yeah, I mean, it was the fashion then, and also shoulder pads were a thing. Yeah. Just like really like oversized stuff. But we should go back. We should go back to that. I don't know if I love shoulder pads, to be honest, but I'm not against them. If they're like, like in anime where they have like the huge, I like those shoulder pads.
I just want to be a box-shaped man.
That's true. That's true. Sometimes I want to be a box-shaped man too. You know, sometimes it's just a need. But okay, so this episode, Zachary is doing his magic. Love that. I think it's like really cute. And the little like teasing, the friends teasing. Again, I love it when they do their little like teen stuff. Everyone's so adorable in this episode, this like little fun friend group that's going on. And then they kept like zooming in on this kid. And I'm like, is this kid important to the story at all? He's not, by the way. Like, except for the fact he's like the only one who understands that the Black Ranger is Zach. Literally, he's just like, that Black Ranger is a lot like Zach.
When Zach's here, there's no Black Ranger on the TV. And when Zach's not here, the Black Ranger's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Thanks for that insight.
It was really funny with Zach this episode because Zordon, again, I don't understand your logic. He's like, go back. The children need you. Do they need you? Like, do they? Like, there's been a couple of times in the past where you've abandoned children in a lot more dangerous situations to fight the monsters, right?
Yeah.
But I think he also said that you don't want to like create suspicion as well.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah. It was more than just. But I also think because the kids clearly look up to Zach, so there is some merit to Zordon's claim.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's meritless. I thought it was funny. I thought it was like a funny thing. But yeah, no, you're totally right. It is definitely good for like not blowing his cover, especially since this is the second time he's abandoned Angela. So I think like it is one of those things where it's like, hey, you can't just keep disappearing on her when there's a big fight going on. Like that's going to be a little bit suspicious. And then, okay, so Bulk and Skull are also doing, I think Nub, you made a note of this. The snakes. Zach's afraid of snakes, he said.
Yeah, so he did like a magic trick thing, or like as part of his act, he like presented these fake snakes to Bulk and Skull and they freaked out. But like in the Island of Illusion, we saw he was very uncomfortable around snakes. So I was like, oh, so is he just like, I mean, I know they're not real snakes, so maybe that's why, but like,
Yeah. Maybe he just like, he hates spiders the most and everything else he's like, I don't love them, but I'll tolerate them. Because he is afraid of fake spiders.
Snakes.
Snakes. Yeah. That's true. Snakes eat spiders. So he's like, these guys are the good guys. Yeah. But then sometimes they're like weird with humans. So then he's like, maybe they're not the good guys. So he has complicated feelings towards snakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Zach's plan, though. This is a wild plan, Zach. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I don't know like how his brain came up with that, because he's looking at balloons and he's looking at basketballs. And and then he goes and does his little like plan, which was a good plan and it worked. But I was like, was he looking at this basketball and was like, this kind of looks like a balloon? Well, like, how did he come up with that?
So in the balloon like display, there was a black balloon there that was like the same shade as the basketball. And then when he went out, he replaced the black balloon with the black basketball. So I think he just saw the two and he's like, this can work.
Was the basketball also floating? I can't remember.
I think it was, but it was like close to his hand, so he could have just.
It could have been just like holding it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was most of what I wrote. Like a little like tidbits here and there. I like how they made Skull say Bulk and Skull say I am a goon, right? Because like that was a good one. I'm like that actually sounds like magic-y stuff. And then Skull thinks that Zach is good looking and smart.
Yes.
Yeah. And then my last note was like, man, Angela. Because like it's the relationship of the century. But again, I don't even remember if they ever get together. But this is it. This is the dynamic, and this was like how it was. And then I've seen this arc a lot. It's not a new arc. And those are the most of my notes. I really don't have a lot of opinions on this bird.
Yeah, I think this episode was just like fun. It was quippy. Zach did a great job. The monster did a great job too. The monster was very quippy. Out of my notes, not just real peck on the cheek, but I think you'll get a bang out of it and then launch the bombs. You're looking winded and then flapped his wings and created that big wind.
Nice.
Yeah. Billy said something funny about the wings too. I didn't write it down.
Yeah.
But he had this like long way of saying he has wings. Yeah.
Of course he did. I didn't write it either. But this was like a nice, fun, relax, enjoy episode.
Yeah, I thought it was very cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have too many notes. I enjoyed all the Zach stuff for sure. I thought that was like the most fun part of it, and then him again having to basically be like Peter Parker situation. I don't know why it's always him who's in the Peter Parker situation, but
it's because he's so popular.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say it's because he's the only one that has friends outside of the core group.
No, literally, like Tommy's just playing karate.
That's fair, yeah.
Like they all just like hang out together.
Yeah.
Zach actually talks to other people.
The one major note was, so apparently whoever's reporting on the fights and everything, they got everything because they were like, oh, the Black Ranger did this cool thing, and the one kid they kept highlighting was like, oh yeah, the Black Ranger's so smart, just like Zach. And just like, yeah, where is Zach? I was like, oh my god,
Hi guys. Isn't it weird that the balloons disappeared and so did this basketball, and the Black Ranger used balloons to fight this monster? Isn't that such a weird coincidence?
Yeah, it was so funny. It was the very blatant like highlighting of like, oh, this is the Power Rangers. I don't know. I enjoy that. It's charming.
I always love it. Yeah, it's these things that like are kind of like, again, this all 3 episodes, the things that like don't really make sense are some of the funnest things. Like Kimberly doing the thing with the parrot, and like the studying with the 6 of them, and this as well, where it's like, it's like, what is that? But also, haha, like, it's like that's like the heart of what Power Rangers is, really.
Yeah.
That and the fighting.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think that's that, right? Like, join us next time. We're going to do 3 more episodes and then the finale as its own. We're very, very excited. In the meantime, I'm Minhas. I'm joined with Nuv and Akil. Stay morphin'.
Once a Ranger,
Always a Ranger.